listening to the Wandering Womb podcast with Jess and Jaimi. Strong women, strong drinks, strong views, and strong language.
Hey, we're back.
We are.
After struggling with COVID. It's been rough. We wanted to say sorry first for not putting... we didn't put an episode out last week at all, did we?
No, we tried really hard to be like, right, this time, this series, we're going to do an episode a week. And then we got COVID.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing that we've managed to like miss COVID the whole pandemic and then we both get it.
I know. We
2.5 years later.
I know, we dodged it for 2.5 years. I don't know how we fucking dodged it. I feel like you have to be a fucking ninja. Like, I don't know how we did it. But, yeah, and then it got us from the Alanis Morissette gig, for sure. Which I just feel is cruel. That was on my bucket list. I've been wanting to see Alanis Morissette live since I was like 11 years old or like 9 years old. And then we went... And we waited like how long for the gig because it kept being cancelled because of COVID and the pandemic.
Yeah. It was like 2 years that we waited for that gig.
Yeah, and then we went and got COVID.
Yeah. Well, also, we either got it from there or from when we went bowling because in the space of about 2 days, we went to the gig and we went bowling, and at both of those events, someone like within a metre of us threw up.
Yeah, so
and it smelled bad.
So we were at the Alanis gig, and we were like right at the front. Jamie got me amazing seats. It was a present off Jamie, and we were there, weren't we? And we were like watching like her perform, and we were both like, "What is that weird smell?" And I'm like, I don't know. And like it went on for ages, and we were both sort of like watching the gig and then being like, that smells really, really horrible. What is that? And then all of a sudden, all these like attendants and cleaners turned up, and were like asking people on each row, like they were trying to figure out where the sick was, basically, weren't they?
Yeah. And
they found it and moved everyone and was cleaning up all this sick, and I was like, oh my god, that's what we've been fucking smelling for like 15 minutes. It was so bad. But then Jamie's right. We went and took the kids bowling, and we were just there, and then the kid on the lane next to us threw up everywhere, like right next to us. And I was just like, for fuck's sake, the world just wants us to be ill.
Yeah. Yeah, it was gross.
It really was. That's a really horrible way of starting a podcast. Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to the Wandering Womb podcast. Today we're going to talk about
Here's
vomit.
2 stories about sick.
Oh, that was not nice. I feel really bad now. Oh. Yeah, we're going to have to apologise for the fact that we're both still recovering from a cough.
Yeah.
Which also means that if we laugh, we end up coughing still, don't we?
Yep.
Oh, we were so ill in bed with COVID, and Jamie made me laugh, and I oh my god, I nearly fucking choked to death. It was so bad. There were so many times where you made me laugh. Yeah, you made me laugh, and like I was just, oh god, I was fucking choking in the middle of the night because you'd made me laugh.
There's nothing else to do except for make you laugh.
No, you've been making me laugh loads recently. Oh my gosh, I don't know how people are going to listen to this podcast and be like fucking sick of listening to him cough.
Yeah.
It's going to be really difficult, but I want to get through it. We've got there's a few more podcasts that I want to record, so...
Yeah. Grab your drink. I was about to say, grab your juice.
Every time
it's
you
wine.
Cough, take a massive mouthful of wine.
Ready?
No, I'm scared I'm going to spit it everywhere. Okay, I didn't spit it everywhere, but Jamie, I think, is going to swallow it. Don't look at me like that, you weirdo. Okay. One of the things that has been dominating the news whilst we have been laid up in bed has been Roe V Wade being overturned, which has been, I think it hit everyone really hard.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to talk about that. And I've got some really interesting pro-life arguments that I wanted to read out to Jaimi while we have a drink and try and discuss them.
Yeah.
Especially because some of them, I've got this document, right? I found this document on the internet, and it's a guidance leaflet.
Yeah.
I've not told Jaimi this yet. It's a guidance leaflet for pro-life activists.
Yeah. Oh,
of
wow.
like what arguments to make on the internet.
Oh, wow.
And I've got the document, and I thought I would read you some of it,
Yeah.
and then we can respond to it or try.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of it is pretty outlandish, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a few
it'll be
sentences
interesting.
that I read and I thought, nah, you didn't just write that in that leaflet. Like, that's wild that you've written that. So I wanted to share that with you. But we thought, to begin with, before we get into this at all, I was saying to Jaimi earlier that I think people talk about Roe v Wade as if everybody knows what that even means, like what the term means, which I think is an oversight.
yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I also think that lots of people, they sort of understand that it means right to abortion, but I don't think they know what the words, even Roe v Wade, mean. The fact that it was like a Supreme Court case, and so I don't think that they know what it even means. So I thought we'd start off by just talking through what it actually means.
Yeah.
I've got the original story here, about the
1973.
Yes.
Yeah.
About the original ruling in 1973 that ruled basically that governments lack the power to prohibit abortions, and the court justices ruled that a woman's right to terminate her pregnancy was protected by the US Constitution. But that happened because of a 25-year-old single woman in 1969 in Texas called Norma McCorvey. At the time, her case was brought under the pseudonym Jane Roe, which is why it's called Roe v Wade, right? And Wade is Henry Wade, who was a district attorney in Dallas County, who was defending the anti-abortion law and arguing that Norma should not be allowed to have an abortion. And Norma was pregnant with a third child, and she had been raped, and her case was rejected, and she was forced to give birth to the baby that was conceived in rape. But there was also another woman involved, Sandra Bensing. She was 20 years old, and her case was heard at the same time in Georgia and in Texas. And basically, eventually, it was successfully argued during these cases that not being able to have an abortion infringed on your right to privacy, and that a woman should be able to terminate their pregnancy. And that was back, as we said, in 1973.
Yeah.
When the appeal made it to the US Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And from then on, there's been like the sort of general access to abortion. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still been a lot of restrictions, controversy. You've still got pro-life like campaigners that stand outside of the family planning clinics and abortion clinics in the US and harass women on the way in.
Yeah.
Harass them on the way out. Like, there's been a lot of activism that's been linked to religion.
The way that the US is governed, it's partially governed by their sort of justice and partially governed by their elected officials. So this, the overturn of Roe in this case means that the individual states can now dictate whether they allow abortion legally in their state or not. And it means that for states, sort of Bible Belt particularly, and some already have, now overturned women's access to abortion.
Yeah, so I've got the numbers on that.
Yeah.
So half of the states in the US have indicated that they are going to introduce the new restrictions or bans on abortion. So that's like just over half of the states.
Yeah.
Because individual states are now able to ban the procedure.
Yeah.
13 have already passed those trigger laws. They're like automatic outlawing of abortions following the Supreme Court's ruling.
Yeah.
And there's a number of others that they're expecting will also pass the quick restrictions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bit, I can't imagine, well, I can imagine what it's like to live there because my aunties and my cousins, so I have 4 female cousins and my 2 aunts, and they're in the US, and their response to it, I saw my aunt's response to it on social media, like on my personal Facebook. She was absolutely fucking devastated and fuming. I don't think she could believe it.
Yeah.
I really don't think she could believe. She couldn't believe that it had been passed in her lifetime that would impact her daughters. Like, I don't think she could get her head around it.
Well, in her lifetime, she's seen it brought in and then overturned.
Yeah.
So that's something that, I mean, I don't know what year she moved over, but for her friends now in that country, they themselves will have seen, the case in 1973 where women will have benefited from it, and then their children now
have had it removed. Yeah.
And that's not the way that these things are supposed to work.
No.
And I think for a lot of American people, there is, I was going to say around election times, but all the time really, especially in any American politics, is about sort of freedom and being able to choose what you want to do. And this is the opposite of that. And for a lot of American citizens, it's seen as anti-American because a lot of Americans will see things like certain political ideologies as anti-choice, and they reject those political ideologies on the basis of they're not pro-choice enough. And this just goes to show that this isn't either. And it's creating almost sort of like I think for some people it's creating like an ideological dilemma around, I think it's throwing a lot of what people's understandings of American values and where that sits on a political spectrum sort of up in the air.
Yeah. It's I don't really know what to say, I'll be honest with you. Like, I find the fact that this has actually happened quite staggering. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that we're in a real wave of misogyny at the moment. We are really seeing a pushback against women's rights, feminism, women's choices, bodily autonomy. It feels like an attack at every angle at the moment. But when I realised that the Supreme Court had ruled in favour of Mississippi's ban on abortions after 15 weeks, which is what they ruled on.
Yeah.
And ended the constitutional right to abortion. I honestly, I took a bit of time just thinking, is this real? Like, did this happen? Like, is it an exaggeration of how serious this is? And then it like dawned on me really quickly. I was like, fuck, no, it is exactly like, you know what it's like. I'm not saying I didn't believe people. I'm saying that, the press sometimes almost like over eggs a change in law to be like, right, we've had this change in law now, and now you've all got to have microchips put in your skin.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? And like, so I read it and I thought, what? And then I realised that it was actually what it said it was. I was like, oh, fuck. And do you know what it reminded me of? Sorry. glass of wine, that'll make that better. Just have a sip. Please, for anyone listening, don't try and medicate your COVID with wine. Jam shed is good, but it's not that good. Although, at the end of this podcast, when I'm hammered, I might change my mind. So, when I was in middle school, I'm not going to go over this again. For those of you that have listened to this podcast for long enough, I'm not going over what a middle school is. Go back and listen to another fucking podcast. Fucking listen to me explain it another 6 times. When I was in middle school, it was around the time that email had become like a thing, and there was chain mail, where you would get an email of something,
chain mail,
and then you would send it on, and it would say things like,
if
you don't send this on, then you'll die of something by midnight tonight, or something like that, right?
Send this to
send this to 10 people. Like, fucking hell, I don't know 10 people with an email address, you bastard. But anyway, so one of the ones that went around my school relentlessly for like 2 years, it just kept coming back round. Oh, I know. Do you also, for any of you listening, do you remember the email chains where you would have to put your name and where you were from on it and then forward it? And it became a huge list of everyone who had ever had that email chain. Oh, that is terrible. We did not know a lot about data protection back then. But anyway, so the reason I bring this up is because the first one I ever got, and the one that went round around our school, now bear in mind, we're like 9, 10, 11 and 12 years old, so we're very young in middle school. One of the first ones I got was a pro life email chain, right? And I had never seen anything like it in my life. It scared the living fuck out of me. It was a set of images of aborted fetuses of all different ages. Bear in mind, we're 9 and 10 and 11 years old.
Oh my God.
And it was sent round as a fucking email chain to like every child in my school somehow. And I still don't know how any of us got it. So it was showing us pictures, the ones that you have probably seen, of like aborted fetuses next to a dollar, and like next to a 50p piece. There were some of them that were British. Ones of a man holding the tiny little feet of an aborted fetus, and then like ones of babies that had been aborted later on that were dead. And the images were extremely graphic, absolutely terrifying for a child of that age. And then like it talked about, how it was murder, and the babies scream while they're being aborted, and so God, it was horrific. Anyway, and then at the bottom of it was like, now send this to 10 people, or like a bad thing will come at night and like kill you and scratch your face and stuff like that. And I was like, forward it.
Yeah.
And then I basically subjected 10 other kids to what I'd just seen. And it always reminds me of those tactics, because some fucker somewhere sent that to a middle school.
Yeah.
How the fuck else did it end up in our email system back then?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what it always reminds me of, is those sorts of scare tactics, that sort of like, let me show you the most horrific image possible to terrify you into, sort of thinking a certain way.
Yeah.
I still think they do that.
Something similar went round for me, but it wasn't chainmail. But it was around the same time that chainmail was still being used, and I was about 10 on Facebook, and it was a video of it was like a cartoon baby, and the baby was talking to its mum and saying like, today I'm this old, and I did this, and I love you so much, mummy, I can't wait to meet you. And then she has an abortion, and the baby's like, did I do something wrong?
Oh my God, that's horrific.
And I was like, oh my God.
This is horrific.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Oh my God, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
I think I'd like blanked that out.
Yeah, I've never forgotten it.
I'd totally forgotten until you just described it, and I know which one you're on about.
Yeah.
That's the thing though, isn't it? Is that it's just a really... it's a really strong example of how almost like emotion and emotional blackmail wins over any kind of sort of logical science or even just basic human rights, really. Like, you know, if you can get guilt tripped into doing something else, and it's, you win people over often by emotion. We talk about this in a completely different piece of work, but the work that like me and you and our team are doing around cultural change, around misogyny, one of the conversations we've had so much is that you don't win people using just information and science and facts.
You've got to be multi.
Well, you have to appeal in some way to an emotional change. And that's what that kind of tactic does. It appeals to your emotions. So, for example, you found that video as a child. You were like, "Oh my God, this is horrific." I saw those videos, those pictures as a child, and I was absolutely traumatized for years by them. Yeah. So they do the job.
Yeah, you know for me, this was probably 2009, 2008, 2009, because I think I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I might have been a little bit older.
Yeah. I don't know. I must have been when I saw that stuff. It must have been something like 2001, 2000 maybe. I think it was more like 2001.
Yeah.
And it was. Yes, I actually remember them clear as day. I actually remember the font. I remember like how it was laid out on the email and everything. I actually remember having a conversation with a girl who was on the computer next to me because I saw it in IT. Because that was, I mean, like, when else would you have access to emails? Isn't it? Like, my family certainly did not have a computer with internet at home. That was for posh people, so that wasn't a thing. And so I'd seen it in IT, which was like once a week for 40 minutes. On my actual fucking school kiddie emails, you know what I mean? And I remember saying to a girl, like, "Oh my God, look at this that I got sent, like, where's it from? And oh my God, look at these horrific photos." I don't think we even had such things as like school firewalls or filters or anything back then, because I don't think there were any.
No.
And I remember saying to her, "Is that real? Is that a real, like, dead baby?" And she was like, "Yeah, I think so." And we both sat there like, "Oh my God, what the hell?" Like, just horrified. But I do find that with these these tactics that that's what they go for.
Yeah.
Do you want a top up before we have a look at these? I want to show you some of the pro-life arguments that they're sort of suggesting that they use on the internet. Some of them you'll have heard before. I'll just top you up. Here you go.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, I must say, I don't know. Well, I was going to say I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's listening. I always
thousands of people listening.
I was just going to say, I always think that there's like a couple of people listening,
6 people,
and one of them's my mum. But apparently, there's thousands of you. We hit almost 78,000 today.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, I was just going to say that fucking everything tastes shit since I've had COVID.
I know.
Everything tastes like bland. But also like it's got a bit of window cleaner in it. So
I promise I'm not trying to poison you. Oh, right. So then, I was really interested in what some of these were. So I wanted to read some of them to you. But can I just get some of the fucking ridiculous ones just out there? Mm-hmm. So this document is from the Central Texas Coalition, which may or may not explain some of the things that are in here. And this says, so I'll just read you the summary arguments against abortion. Abortion has left terrible holes in our society. Abortion has led us to having a nation of schizophrenics.
Can I respond to these?
Yeah, let me just do these first, and then I'll move on to the specific ones to respond to.
Okay.
Abortion is a modern-day Holocaust, which is breeding unparalleled violence to which we are all accomplices. Abortion is taking us in a direction from which we can never return. abortion has ushered in the brave new world of human pesticides. There's some very strong language here, people. They're strong, aren't they? Human pesticides and a nation of schizophrenics and modern day Holocaust. They're not holding back there, are they? See what I mean about emotive sort of...
Yeah, but like, what... I want to ask them, what do they mean by schizophrenics?
I don't think they'd know what they meant. I really do. I don't even know if they
Read
know
that
what
one
that
again.
meant. Abortion has made us into a nation of schizophrenics.
How?
Do you know what I think the argument is? Because I've read this whole leaflet that they're making and why they're using the term schizophrenic. First of all, because they don't understand schizophrenia whatsoever. But also, what they're using the word to mean that we have like a split personality about death, dying, murder and abortion. So they sort of mean it as if...
Oh, that we're against murder.
But we're all right murdering babies.
Oh, okay.
So, and they're calling that schizophrenic. But that's because they've got absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Which is interesting.
What was the first one?
I'd write a whole article on that, actually. Abortion has left terrible holes in our society.
What holes?
Baby-shaped holes. I'm so sorry. Jamie's got a hand open. Oh, for fuck's sake. I can't laugh because I cough.
Does it mean vaginas?
What terrible holes. Oh, do you know what I was going to say? I was going to start this podcast by saying there's no fucking risk of me laughing during this episode and coughing.
And look at you now, laughing at baby-shaped hole vaginas. Baby-shaped vagina holes.
Oh my God, stop it, because you're making me think about that scene from In-Betweeners when they're around the fire. Oh my God, that scene just lives rent-free in my fucking head. I absolutely love that fucking scene. There's no wrong answer. Yes, there fucking is. Anyway.
Moving on.
Okay, so I'll work through some of the arguments. This is huge, this document. And
is it in Comic Sans?
It's
been written in Comic Sans.
Has it? Is this Comic Sans?
Yeah.
It's been written, in fairness, Jamie. It's got about 3 fonts because there's one here. Ironically, the man who wrote it is called Randy. And I just was going to misread his second name. I thought his name was Randy Acorn, which is just ironic on just so many different levels.
What is his name?
Randy Alcorn.
Oh.
Not majorly better. Okay, so then, let's pick some out of here. There was a few that really did make me like, whoa. So it says here, when you're asked questions on the internet by pro-choice people, for example, what about a woman who is pregnant due to rape or incest? They then give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 answers.
Ooh.
What do you think the answers are? So this is a pro-choice person saying to a pro-life person, what about a woman who is pregnant due to rape or incest? And they say...
It's not the baby's fault? Is that featured on there?
I feel like we're doing a weird sort of survey says. Ding! Yeah, so B, rape is never the fault of the child. The guilty party, not an innocent party, should be punished. That's it, that's their answer. But the one that made my jaw fall open, actually. Well, there was 2. The first is, pregnancy due to rape is extremely rare and with proper treatment can be prevented.
Well, the pregnancy or the rape?
I don't know, because if they're talking about the pregnancy, they're arguably talking about the morning after pill.
I have seen people argue that you can't get pregnant from rape.
Oh, I know, I've seen it before. We wrote about that in the report as well, there's a section in the report about it.
Yes, we did, yeah.
There was particular people, like men in authority, that said that the body shuts down. Do you remember writing about it in the report?
Yeah.
That when women are being raped, There's no physical way you can get pregnant because the body knows you're being raped, so it shuts down and doesn't allow conception. Yeah. You think, fucking hell, these people are in power. They're just making this shit up as they go along.
Yeah.
But it's C for me.
Can I just say, I think one of the issues is that it doesn't matter that they're wrong. And I was just thinking about the lack of evidence that they use in their arguments. There is no evidence behind it. There's no science behind it. But then I thought, well, it comes from the Bible. So
they're not massive fans of science.
Well, most of them are, deeply religious.
Yeah.
On a book that's got 0 citations.
0 citations. Can you imagine if it did? Can you imagine the Bible that had a reference list at the back and all the references said, God said.
So to them, it doesn't matter if we argue with them with science and facts. They don't care. That's not what they're sort of
No, that's not the way they think. They're not. No. Like my one of my best friends, Dr. Rachel Marchant. I'm sure that she'll love me for shouting her out for this, but she always says that you can't argue a religious person out of a position using facts or science that they didn't argue themselves into using facts or science. And that was because she spent a lot of she does a lot of she did do when I first met her years ago. She was hugely active in like humanism and atheism type activism.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she used to say to me is that you can have conversations with people where you think you're arguing using logic, science, facts, but they are not hearing logic, science or facts because their argument is not based on logic, science or facts.
Yes.
So they don't care whether you're presenting logic, science and facts.
Yeah.
Because what it's about for them is emotional connection and deeper meaning, cultural reference, tradition, belief systems they've been embedded into. So it doesn't matter if you go, yeah, but, I don't know, dinosaurs were real. And they can go, oh, no, they weren't.
Yeah. And also, within religious communities, a lot of it is based on power structures anyway. So whether they believe you or not, it doesn't matter. It's not about that. They use the religion and the hierarchy and the structure that the religion and the religious culture provides to enforce power and control over other people, and in this case, women.
You want to hear the one that properly blew me away?
Yeah.
So this is in response to the pro-choice argument. What about a woman who is pregnant due to rape or incest? And C, the advice that they give is to say, the violence of abortion parallels the violence of rape. Which I just couldn't fucking... Really? Having an abortion is a parallel of being a rapist and raping a woman and making her pregnant. You've got to be joking me that that's a serious argument.
What about... No, I'm not going to say that. I can't say that.
Okay.
Or can I?
What
about the likelihood that we live in a world where so many people, especially men, are perpetrators? So aren't we just giving birth to more perpetrators who are going to rape?
Well, I mean, statistically, whether people like it or not, yes, you are correct. Like, if we were to take a sample of, 500 girl babies and 500 boy babies and then monitor them their entire lives, then statistically, yes, you've given birth to probably at least 100, statistically, of abusers and perps.
Probably more.
Probably more than that. Actually, probably much more.
I don't think we like to talk about the amount of... Obviously...
Well, that's because we see children, and to some extent I do agree, that children are a blank slate. They're born, in psychology we have and in philosophy there's a term tabula rasa, which means you're born a blank slate.
Yeah.
And that you're not born anything, and that every single experience you have and everything that happens to you and the way you're brought up writes on you who you're going to become. But even within that argument, you are therefore going to raise a load of perps out of that sample, let's say of 1,000 babies. You are going to raise a load of perps.
But in this society, violence, rape, is very common. So, I don't know.
Sure, do you want me to pick another one?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that one. The arguments are so fucking stupid.
Go on.
What is okay? So this is arguments. Arguments back to if a pro-choice person says, "What about a woman whose unborn baby is diagnosed as..." Now, can I just say these are not English, UK PC terms. They've used the term deformed and handicapped because in the US they still use the term handicapped in medicine.
Yeah.
I didn't know they still use the word deformed. I knew that they used handicapped because it still appears in lots of medical literature in the US. I still come across it when I'm reading articles and journals, peer-reviewed research and stuff. So, what do you think their arguments are back?
I don't know.
One of them's fucking ridiculous.
Go on.
So some of them are basically saying a doctor's diagnosis is often wrong and that they're not going to be deformed or handicapped, so you should continue with the pregnancy. The child's deformity is often minor.
Can I just say one thing there? So we could argue that and say, well, actually, the stats show that it's like 1 in 10,000 that the doctors are wrong, and they will see that and say, exactly, you shouldn't want to take that chance. But
yeah, there is actually a bit further up that says that about stats.
Is it?
Where you shouldn't take the chance. It doesn't matter, you know. So
the thing with that, again, comes back to the religious element that, like, well, there was like a one in 100 billion chance of the earth being here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or things like that. But it's very much about, or like, there's a this in this chance that Jesus is real, but look, he was still real. Do you know what I mean? So for them, and even though some of these people who are pro-life aren't religious, the arguments stem from religion. So
yeah, I agree.
It's again, it's not about stats or science.
Do you know what you've reminded me of?
What?
I saw a fucking meme. I saw a meme on the internet. I shouldn't fucking laugh, but fucking didn't half crap me up. And it said something like, abortion robs the world of amazing, you know, people that could have, you know, cured cancer or killed Hitler. You know, what if the person that killed Hitler or could have stopped Hitler was killed in an abortion, and then somebody had quipped underneath it, do you know what else would have stopped Hitler? I just thought, for fuck's sake. But actually, it's such an interesting argument, because essentially they're arguing it both ways.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be prepared to make the argument that, you know, somebody who was aborted could have been the person to stop Hitler.
Yeah.
Why can't someone else argue back? Yeah, but abortion would have stopped Hitler.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember seeing it. This was way before this had been overturned. This was like probably maybe years before. And I remember seeing it, just thinking that the person that quipped back really made me laugh, like, because they were so sharp. But and obviously I don't comment on anything like that. I would get involved or anything, but it was actually on my personal social media, like on Facebook, and I did find that it was quite witty. But the reason I brought that up is because they've written here, abortions due to handicaps will rob the world of unique human beings who would have gone on to significantly contribute to society. I mean, you don't know that. They could have been knobheads. There's no real way of knowing, is there?
Are they referring to autistic people?
They've not given. There's no
because there's
no specific details here whatsoever. It just says
that
deformed
tends
or
to be
handicapped.
used in sort of basic understanding of autism acceptance. That seems like they're rehashing a very basic autism acceptance. Or like, you know what I mean?
One of them says,
but like, I'm sorry, but these kinds of people, they don't support disabled people anyway.
No, it's not like they donate or like work in the services or even have any good understanding of what it's like to live with disabilities.
Or vote in politicians who want to improve the lives of disabled people.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't. They like and I don't tend to like to see things as polarized as this, but in general, the themes are that the people who are more religious and right-wing tend to be more conservative, with a small c, and aren't as favourable to helping out those who need help.
Yeah.
And they're almost sort of trying to appeal to the left-wing ideologies of looking after those who can't look after themselves or need more help than others. But it's not genuine. So that's why, you know, these arguments that they're making, we know that they're not genuine.
No, they're not.
So they're not going to work.
Yeah. That's a really...
In general.
No, I really get that. It's an important point. One of the arguments they've said to use in return to what about a woman whose unborn baby is diagnosed as deformed or handicapped? It says here on the leaflet, handicapped children are often very happy, always precious, and they are delighted to be alive. Is that? That's a ridiculous response. Like, first of all, that's such a massive generalisation, but second of all, you know, kids with different disabilities and health issues and life-limiting conditions, as they grow, if they are able to grow, because obviously some children with life-limiting conditions, fucking clues in the name, they don't get past 7, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, whatever. But for those of them that do get old enough to understand their own condition, they're not happy. I know a guy whose son died from eventually from a life-limiting illness that they knew about during the pregnancy, and it was a lot more severe than they thought when he was born, and then he died. And he created an organisation where that's what he raises money for all the time, for children all over the UK that have these life-limiting conditions and are born with very severe disability and illness. And I know from talking to him and from talking to his partner that, like, you know, yes, of course, like when they're little children, they're cute and like they like playing with stuff, but like as the ones that do actually get older, some of them know
they're in pain.
Yeah, they are.
They like, if they understand it, they know that they're
not going to school. You know, they've not got friends. They're not going out anywhere. They're not. You know, they're in hospices.
Yeah.
You know.
And if somebody if parents decide that they are gonna raise a child and look after them, good for them. Like, you know, I hope that
well, they get all the support they need.
Yeah,
and that it goes okay as it possibly can do.
Yeah, but that's not a reason to expect people to do it.
No, for sure.
And I think it's quite unnatural in the sense of how humans are supposed to live, in that parents shouldn't have to and shouldn't be burying their children. That's not how it should work. It should be the other way around.
I know. But also, I don't think we should be guilt tripping people into, almost like, into either side of that choice. Like, I really don't think that somebody should be guilt tripped into having a termination on the basis that they've been told their child is going to have a life-limited illness or whatever. I really don't think they should be guilt tripped into doing it. I don't think they should be pressured into doing it. But on the other hand, I really don't think they should be guilt tripped or pressured into, keeping their child in some sort of moral or religious or ideological or ethical view or whatever. And that, I think that really is like the key, that sort of like foundation of being truly pro-choice. Like, I genuinely would support someone if they said to me, I genuinely would support someone about their own selves, their own body, if they said, I am against abortion and therefore I am keeping this pregnancy, even though I don't necessarily want it, it's not planned, or yes, there are these complications, but I personally am anti-abortion. Like, if somebody said that to me, I would be like, okay, that's your choice, it's your body, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not remotely interested in arguing about that. That's your body, your choice. In the same way that if I met a woman and was like, fuck having this pregnancy, fuck this, I'm going for an abortion, I don't want this baby, you know, I would be like, right, okay, sound, again, your body, your choice, it's got nothing to do with anybody else. And, you know, I don't really, you get this sometimes on both sides though, actually. I've seen people who are so-called pro-choice who are actually quite disparaging towards women that aren't. Like, but at the end of the day, if it's about your own body, it's your fucking choice. It's when you start projecting that onto other women and other women's choices where it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you are listening to this podcast and you yourself could never fucking go through with an abortion, and for your own body and your own self, you could never ever do it, and you don't agree with it, and you wouldn't do it yourself, and you cannot bring yourself to even consider having an abortion, fine. But don't fucking put it on everyone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. That's like... But, you know, in the same way, if you're listening to this and you're sort of really, really strongly pro-abortion, then fine also. But, you know, if you came across somebody who wasn't, and it was about their body and their pregnancy, don't fucking push it on them.
Yeah.
Being truly pro-choice is surely being truly pro-choice.
Yeah.
Like, the woman should have the choice.
Yeah.
I tell you what, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
What do you think about I've seen it so it's in here.
Yeah.
I'll try and read it to you like word for word, but I know it's in this document because I've seen it. What do you think about the argument against pro-choice, saying that if pro-choice people were truly pro-choice, they would also acknowledge that the man had a choice in whether that baby was aborted or kept? It's a big question, but I wondered what your views were, because like I just find
it's just a case like that for me. That's just a case of what about men? Like, I'm sorry, but is the man carrying the baby? No. Is the man's body going to be affected by it? No. Is the man going to do the majority of the care? No. Is the man going to do all the care? No. Who is going to be looked upon from society to be needing to do a better job? Is it going to be the man? No.
Yeah,
Everything falls on the woman. I'm sorry, but this is why I believe that women should be getting the majority of the choices when it comes to her children, because it all falls on women.
Yeah.
And you know, in some cases, you might have a hands-on dad who does at least 50% of everything. Awesome. That's the minority. I think it might sound tough and everything, but I really don't think a man gets a say. I understand that there's going to be some men that think, but that's my baby. Like that could be my child, and I want to be a dad. But I'm sorry, but you don't get to be a dad without that process of that woman having to be pregnant for 9 months and then give birth. And at the end of the day, there are serious risks to pregnancy and childbirth. Yeah.
You know, real serious health risks. And if she doesn't want to consent to that, I'm sorry, but you go get therapy, talk to your friends and family, get support and everything. But you can't, surely you wouldn't want to push another human being into carrying a child.
I also think that
surely not.
I also think that it's very, what's the word? Like, rare that the man wants to keep the baby and the woman doesn't.
I've seen it on like MRAs, although to be honest with you, I do wonder with MRAs whether they're just saying it for point scoring. And I've also seen it in men where they're claiming their like female ex was abusive and was a horrible person, and that they had an abortion and didn't tell them, and that they can't, like, that they are absolutely gutted because they should have been told and they wanted to keep that baby. I don't know what they think happens, but the man cannot choose to keep a baby that the woman has decided she does not want in her body. It won't fucking survive outside of her body. So unfortunately, you have to have the buy-in of that woman.
Yeah. It's to be.
You can't go, right, but I want the baby, and the woman go, oh, okay then. I'll have it then. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to happen. And actually, I would hope, to some extent, that even if it upsets you as a man, if you're in a relationship or you've had a one-night stand or you're dating someone or whatever it is, your ex or whatever, and she says to you, I don't want a fucking baby though, I don't want to be pregnant, I want an abortion, that should be enough for you to know that ain't going to work.
Yeah.
That ain't going to work. Don't bring a kid into that.
Yeah.
She doesn't fucking want it. Don't make her have a fucking baby. Don't guilt trip her into it. That's not a good idea, is it?
Yeah, like, just have a baby yourself.
Yeah.
Like, with somebody else.
I
Do you know what I mean? I actually would like to just bring something up that I saw, and I would like your your view on this. A woman called Lauren Santo Domingo. I don't know who that is. I probably should do. Anyway, she tweeted, at Ivanka Trump, "You are noticeably quiet today. The high school friends who took you to get an abortion or not." What do you feel? How do you feel about that?
To be honest with you, I don't like any kind of so-called activism or anything that makes it about one particular woman's circumstances, no matter who they are or whether they're in power. That's my personal view. I don't like for example, why has okay, the woman Lauren, is it Lauren or Laura? Lauren.
Can't remember now.
Okay.
Lauren.
Okay, Lauren's choice to tweet that at her, that's not going to bring that argument forward. It's not helpful. It's not useful. It's snarky and it's personal. There are lots of reasons. I'm not. It's not like I'm a fucking Trump fan. But do I think that that's the way to deal with this issue? No, not really. I don't think that tweeting it at a woman who had an abortion while she was at school and therefore abused or raped. Yep. Sorry, but how was that useful, that tweet? I don't think personal attacks on women is activism.
Yeah, so that's mine. Somebody, I think she deleted the tweet maybe because a big celebrity with millions of followers, I won't say who, screenshot it and posted it out and be like, here it is. And I saw it and my initial was like, I bet. And then I thought, hang on, literally within a couple of seconds I thought, why would you out someone for having an abortion when you know that their whole family is against abortion? What's that going to achieve? What's that going to do to help? What's she going to do now? Because she's got two choices: lie about it or admit it.
Yeah.
And if she lies about it, all her friends are going to be like, "You're a fucking liar," and she's also got to deal with the fact that she knows that she's lying. But then also, if she admits it, what are her family and the people around her going to say and do?
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking it up now.
I think that it's...
So, oh my God, one of the press has put, throwing shade. Lauren Santo Domingo slammed Ivanka Trump in a scathing tweet, accusing her of having had a high school abortion. It's not throwing shade, man. That's some personal doxing.
We shouldn't be throwing shade. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Don't minimise it by saying throwing shade.
Yeah, no, it's not throwing shade.
I think that it must be annoying. I mean, I don't know. I have a couple of things on there. If Ivanka was out there saying, this is really great news and I'm anti abortion and blah blah blah, then you might be annoyed to be like, oh, I fucking took you for an abortion, so, you know. But she's quiet.
Oh my God,
Like,
do you know what I just
on.
read?
What?
They used to be friends. It's not a stranger. That's one of Ivanka's old friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
I think that's really unfair.
Why would you leverage that personal information?
I
don't
think
care
that's really
who
unfair.
it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care how much you think you hate the woman. Why are you leveraging personal information about an abortion that happened to her while she was at school?
Child.
She was at fucking school.
She was a child.
That's fucking terrible. That's just... Yeah. Someone actually put that. A guy has quote tweeted it and put, "How horrible is this tweet? Doesn't a public figure, no matter how deplorable we the public may find their politics, still have a right to their own medical privacy?" I agree. I agree. I don't care who it is. I don't know, personally I would never go that far. I do think, actually, on that topic, I really do think that some of our feminism and our discussions around stuff like this has become very fucking scathing and personal towards
It's about
women.
getting likes, though.
Yeah, it is. It's about like, I said the snarky tweet.
There's no room for a nuanced, long blog anymore. It's about saying it in less than 100 characters and getting 250,000 likes.
It really is about like hatred.
Pass me my pick a mix.
Yes, sweetheart.
Me and Jess earlier decided to drive to the cinema and not watch a film, but just get pick a mix.
You've just outed us for it. That is the most middle class thing.
Is it?
Who the fuck drives 12 miles to a cinema to get cinema pick a mix for 10 quid?
It wasn't.
No, you're right. It was 12.
We bought 2 extra large ones and drinks. Thank you. Bloody hell, you just outed us for how much it cost. Fuck's sake.
It's fucking cinema pick a mix.
There's no pick a mix anywhere else.
No cheap. No, I know there isn't. I wish there was. Do you remember Woolworths?
Yeah.
Pick a mix. That shit was great.
And it was massive.
And it was cheap. You could get a bag for 79p.
Was it?
Yeah.
A
At one
bag?
point. Yeah, a paper bag.
I thought all bags were weighed and cups were money.
No,
Cups were money.
No, at one point there was like almost like a set amount. You had to weight it. It had to be a certain weight, but like it was a certain amount of money, almost like a threshold. And then I remember it was just weighing it. So you just weighed it, and it was whatever it came up on the scale.
Weighing is expensive. I just want to let everyone know.
You used to like slightly hold it off the scale.
Yeah, I did.
So it would be £2.50. Now it is
£6.
£1. 6 pence. What are you fucking just holding all of it? Oh, I'm gonna keep coughing. Oh, stop making me laugh, knobhead.
Just so everyone knows, we have the cups.
Does that make it better? What was it?
Yeah, because it's not weighed.
Oh yeah, no, I know. All I picked was cherries because I said to Jamie, mine was more of a pick than a mix. To be honest with you, I just got loads and loads and loads of cherries, which are my favourite ones. The little like 2 cherries that are together, they're cute with the little green leaves. Mm-hmm. And I just filled my fucking cup, and then I was like shoving it down with the spoon thing,
Legend.
like shoving it in the cup. I was half expecting the bottom of the cup to come out, to be honest with you. So I've just got anyway. I forget sometimes how old I am and how bad, like how sickly it is. I ate 3 in the car and thought I was going to throw up. So now they're just in the kitchen.
Do you think everyone wants to know what I've got?
What in your pick and mix cup?
Yeah.
What, as a break from talking about abortion?
Yeah.
So have a quick break and talk about the pick and mix that Jamie has.
So I got strawberry bonbons, raspberry bonbons, one of them pencil things with the fondant inside it, a jelly snake, it's red and orange, because of course. I got one of those...
like fizzy strawberry belts.
Yeah, that's all wound up.
Like, yeah. They're awesome.
I got one dummy. I think it's either cola or it's
Let me
strawberry.
see.
That is actually pink and white.
Is it? I think it looks like a cola one, but...
Well, it's a bit anemic if it is. I got jelly beans, and I made sure that I got mainly red ones.
Yeah.
I got a bubblegum fizzy cola bottle, a few fizzy cola bottles, and a few fizzy cherry cola bottles, and I got these like off-brand Percy Pig.
Oh.
Sorry, Castro just coughed.
Oh, great. The dog's gagging. She's listening to you, she's like, ugh, gross, fucking pick and mix. Castro, if you're going to, like, throw up, can you do it somewhere that's not on a sofa? That'd be
She's
great.
going to see
She's
that.
like, what? Do it on you?
Yeah, some, like, off-brand Percy Pig things. And then I got
They're like
some...
Peaty Pig.
And I got some chocolate raisins, because they're the best. And then some, like, toffee... chocolate things. They look like chocolate raisins but bigger, and they got toffee in.
Oh, I used to love getting a little paper bag of chocolate raisins years ago from the like candy shop, like pick and mix shop.
I love chocolate
Do you remember
raisins.
going into a proper old
Sweet
I don't
shop.
know if some of you'll remember this, like in the early 90s, where they were like dark, stuffy sort of little shops, and they had all the different sweets in massive containers all around.
That was the original pick and mix.
Right up to the ceiling.
You're like, can I have?
Where you say,
can I have 15 grams of?
Yeah, you say, can I have some chocolate raisins, please? And then they'd like climb up and like go and get them and pour them out.
And you used to have them in little bags.
In a little white bag.
Yeah, a little white bag.
And yeah, I used to love going into that shop. Actually, it's they turned it into a rice pies shop, which most of you won't know what rice pies are, because it's a Stokey thing, but they're like pucker pies but Stokey. Rice pies. I used to have a corned beef hash from there years ago, which I wouldn't eat now because we don't really eat red meat, do we? But corned beef's definitely not something I would eat now. It does make me...
fuck is this? Look.
What is that? Is that one of your Peaty Pigs? Fucking hell, it's rock hard.
Oh, it's shit. That's probably been here since before the pandemic.
Fucking no, not. You eat that, you'd be fucking immune to everything. Okay, well, let's... I was thinking, we've been chatting about this for ages, and let's not go back into the depths of it, I don't think, because I think people will be glad now that we talked about pick and mix for a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh God, don't go back to the abortion stuff. So let's finish it off. I guess by almost summarising, what do you want to see happen now? So you have a lot more political knowledge than I do, for sure. Is there a way that this can be overturned? Can they go back and go, actually, this probably wasn't a good idea, let's go, like, can they do that or not?
Yeah. The likelihood is that it won't. What can happen though is if they were to vote in, but it would have to be state by state. Each state would have they would have to vote in.
Like senators, is it?
But the next ones would have to be Democrat. So in general,
so does that mean they would have to vote in loads of different people into power, and then they would have to vote to change it?
Not really. They're sort of states are individually governed.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So does that mean in each individual state they would have to vote in the right people to almost like overturn each individual state's decision?
Yeah, for the states where they have decided with this that they've banned abortion.
Do you think it'll become illegal to travel to another state to go and get an abortion?
Yeah.
So, like, for women that live in the States where they do ban it...
I'm pretty sure it's already illegal.
Okay.
You know how I
have watched a lot of videos about it and stuff, and from what I can tell, it does look like there's definitely already states where it will be an offence to go and procure an abortion outside of your state and almost like circumvent the law on purpose.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's circumventing the law.
And I have seen that already, you know. And I think that's terrifying.
Well, that's what happens
but, you know, it's already happening in Ireland.
I was going to say that's what happened in Ireland.
Yeah. There's, you know, I knew a woman actually who came over for an abortion from Ireland.
Yeah. But they overturned it though, didn't they? Is that right? This is what I mean when I like the world is in some ways making advancements, and in others completely going back. That, you know, my job and life is feminism and politics, and I can't even keep up.
There is something very, very serious and insidious going on around women's rights.
Yeah.
Globally, like we really are seeing it.
Seems like
the rights turned
one
back.
step forward, 2 steps back.
Fucking 12. It feels like we take one step forward and then like we take a fucking marathon back sometimes.
It's being done in a way though that sometimes it seems like it's not controlled, and that it's done by changing people's opinions, and that it's happening sort of in an organic way.
You know what you always tell me about how politics swings left, right?
Yeah.
Is that happening in feminism and women's rights? So it's swinging basically from one extreme to another?
Yeah, I think so. So what Jess is talking about is that there are theories that suggest that imagine politics as a pendulum where it swings from left to right and then back to left, back to right, in sort of any governed area. And within that, you have things associated with left and right. So women's rights, pro-women's rights, is associated with left wing, and anti-women's rights is associated with right wing. So what you'll find is that when we become more right wing, that we'll see more pushback against women's rights. And you need to see this as a little bit more nuanced than right wing means
like bad for women, left wing equals good, because it doesn't.
Yeah,
at all.
But more than that in terms of politics and economy and stuff like that. Yeah, I could talk about that all day, but possibly.
I just wonder because the reason I asked was that, you know, it does feel like so I've said before, and I'll say it again, like that there are feminist scholars from the second wave that wrote, you know, that with every wave of feminism, you'll get a huge uprising of misogyny that comes with it. So, like, women will make progress, and then misogyny will massively increase.
Yeah.
You know, and then the misogyny will reign, and then women will make some progress, and then the misogyny will kick back in, almost to, like, shut it back down again. But I was thinking about it, like, the way that you describe the pendulum sort of theory, pendulum sort of spectrum of left to right, you know, that like countries or global politics or even local politics can go right, like a little bit right, more right, and then it'll swing violently the other way and start going towards left, and then it'll go left, then it'll go really, really left, and then it'll swing back towards right, almost like because people, they swing between them. And I was just thinking about, you know, is that what's happening in feminism? Like, is that what's happening to women's rights? It's almost like women have got, you know, we've got Me Too, we've got more freedom, women are in leadership, women are we're making progress all the time.
And if you think about what happened,
it's like, fuck that.
But if you think about in the UK, think about Me Too, round about the same time that the government in the UK decided that you were only allowed to claim child benefit for 2 children, and the only way you're allowed to claim child benefit for a third is if you say you've been raped.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, everything is much more, especially nowadays with sort of 24-hour news and social media, everything is much more four-dimensional, almost.
And also, I wonder if it's faster. The process is faster.
Yeah, perhaps it's gone so fast that we can't even... that we're perhaps maybe in a period where it's more central. But also we're in a essentially a racist patriarchy. So even if we argue that it's much more centralised, it's still slightly more right wing because of the ideologies that are propped up around the patriarchy and racism and capitalism, in that it's more right wing.
Yeah.
And that's how we are sort of in the position that we are in the States. And that, yes, the majority are Democrat, but there's still a huge amount of Republican. Like, absolutely huge.
Yeah, massive.
But then if we were to look at the first election that Trump won, Clinton won the popular vote.
Yeah, no, I know, I remember that.
So,
because at the time I didn't have a massive amount of knowledge around it, and I was totally baffled. I was like, how can Hillary have won and not won? Like, I that lost me for a while. Like, I definitely don't have the knowledge of politics that like Jamie has or other people have. Like, I have to sort of, I still find myself learning and Googling things and reading things a lot so that I can understand everything.
Well, everybody does, and if anyone pretends if anyone says they don't, then they're lying.
I think, well, obviously some people have a lot more knowledge than I do about it, but okay, I think I'm gonna stop us there. I feel like we've been talking forever.
I know, we could talk about this forever though,
I could talk to you about politics forever. I learn loads every time I talk to you. So, okay then. Well, I hope that you're all okay. This has been quite a heavy one.
Yeah.
And I imagine that you're absolutely bloody drowning in stuff around Roe V Wade at the moment and sort of everywhere. So please do look after yourselves, especially for those of you that this is actually really personal, where you've had abortions or where, you're someone you love has, or that this is your reality right now, or you've recently had a termination, and that...
We have got a lot of American listeners as well.
Yeah, I know. And it must... to live in that country at the moment must be... I think I'd be in shock if I were you. Sort of...
Especially because it had been rumoured for a long time, and people were saying that it was scaremongering.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was real.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest bits, is where, especially where women are almost like the canary in the coal mine going, there's something fucking wrong, there's something, like, they're rolling back, all right, something's going to happen, and everyone's going, no, they're fucking not. No, they wouldn't. Like you said, it's scaremongering, it's fear tactics, it'll never happen, and then it fucking does.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I think, it just goes to show that women's rights are only ever temporary.
That's terrifying. You think that, like, I don't know how much longer I'll be here for. Nobody really does. But, like, it's scary to think that we could be watching.
These could be the best years for women.
Yes, I know.
This could be the best time.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Like, imagine if this gets worse and worse and worse over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, 50 years. Yeah. We'd still be alive for that.
Yeah.
One day we could be having a conversation about this and going, do you remember when you could access contraception? Do you remember when you could have the morning after pill? Do you remember abortions?
Do you remember when we were allowed jobs?
Yeah. Fucking hell. Remember when you could say woman?
Well, I mean, and I know that I'm very guilty of it, but sometimes I wonder if some of the things that we're all consuming in media is actually bringing women back to wanting to the sort of trad wife lifestyle.
I think they are.
Cleaning TikTok. Fucking, you seeing the size of that? And do you know what? I fucking love cleaning TikTok.
I hate it. You know I hate it.
Yeah.
Can't fucking stand it.
But like...
And you're always like, oh, I'm watching cleaning TikTok. Like, fucking spare me, will you? Jesus.
Yeah, but like... Maybe this is the new tactic for rolling back women's rights. We've gained maybe too much ground and they need to find another way to put us back in our place.
Yeah. Ugh, fucking hell. God, that's a depressing way of ending.
I'm really sorry, everyone. We've got into a bit of a habit of doing this, haven't we?
Yeah, I would suggest going and drinking.
Castra's trying to steal my sweets.
Is she? Is that what she's
after?
Do
you want one?
After she's just gagged over there while we're trying to record a podcast. Now she's like, do you know what I fancy now? Pick and mix.
Should we do a cheers?
Fuck cheers into that. No,
okay, let's not do a cheers then.
No, absolutely not. Okay, right. We'll see you all soon. Look after yourselves. And we'll see you on the next podcast.
Yep. Take care, everyone.